Hey, 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 hey. Hello. How y'all doing? Hi. Hello. How y'all doing? I'm getting set up here. We on just a few minutes early, like 2 minutes early. I'm gonna give the people a little bit of time to get in. Come on with it. Come on with it. Is everybody having a good night tonight? Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. Hey guys, hey, I'm not the singer tonight. I'm just trying to be great with my time. And I wanted to like pull it up a little bit early. I was like, let me make sure that I got all things going the way that they need to be going on tonight because I did not want to have the problems that I was having on last week. Last week, it was giving me just a little bit of, I don't want to function. I ain't want to work right with you. So I was like, let me make sure that I jump on just a few minutes early so I can make sure that it's all good. But I'm so glad that everybody got on tonight. I'm so glad just to be able to steward this. And I'm going to get right into it because I only got 20 minutes, right? So, I am Sharon Tillman. I am your life coach, Sharon Tillman, and we talk all things knowing who you are and how we get to that place of knowing who we are. How do we get to that place of, being all that we've been called to be? We take steps, we take strides, we do all of the things to make sure that we are stewarding properly exactly what it is that the Lord has called us to do and how we get to that place of being exactly where it is that the Lord has called us to be. We have been talking about value. So if you have been following my pages or just watching my reels and things, you know that we've been talking all things value. We've been having some really, really good value conversations. And so tonight is going to be no different. We're going to continue to talk about value and then we're going to jump into something else. But we want to talk a little bit about value tonight. And we're just going to keep it going from basically where we've been going from. So I'm so excited because talking about value, it's basically one of the very things that we know that we have that the Father has given us, right? So we know that we have value because the Father has given us value. He's given us value even before bringing us here. I love James. I'm always talking about First James and 5. I'm always talking about that scripture because it is so amazing to me the way that the Lord chooses to create plan and purpose, to think about me even before creating me, right? And one of the ways that I say we know that we have value is because we know that if the Lord is taking his time and if he is literally thinking about you even before bringing you here, that means that you're special. That means that you have value. There's something inside of you that has to live and not die. And so I really want to encourage you guys tonight to know that you have value and that you mean something. A lot of the questions that I have been getting, and I've been trying my best to steward those questions with videos and just response. And the ones that were really good, I have been doing videos for because I've gotten some really good questions. But for a lot of the question that I got when it comes to value is like, just how do we supposed to know what that value is? How do we get to the place of really knowing our value in Christ or in this world, even in relationships? If I'm in a relationship and they don't know my value, what am I supposed to do? If I am if I'm at work and I'm not being valued, what am I supposed to do? If I'm in any type of situation and I just don't feel like I'm being valued, what am I supposed to do? And so I've been getting that question so often that people are not asking, they're not setting a standard for their value because in all honesty they don't know what the value is themselves. They don't know what the value is. They don't know how to set the standard. They don't really know how to steward the value because they don't know what it is. And so, one of the best ways, and I made a small video about it, but I'm just going to elaborate a little bit on it and then we'll move on. But one of the best ways for you to know what your value is to literally believe what your father says. Like, I say this all the time, and I say it all the time. Like, I don't want you guys to think I'm just throwing out casualties. Like, this girl is just throwing out casualties. No, I am literally telling you that if you want to know what your value is, if you want to know what you mean, if you want to know how important you are, if you want to know exactly what it is that God wants to do in your life, this is how you're going to know. You're going to get into His word and you're going to see exactly what it is that He's saying about you so that you can begin to believe. One of the things that I have learned, and I'm going to tell my story because I always do. Like, I'm super transparent, and I know that the Father has allowed me to walk this journey, not for me, but because there are people that are assigned to me that I am supposed to help. And so one of the ways that I know that this thing works is because God did it for me. Like, literally, I know that He did it for me. But I know that when I didn't have value, or when I couldn't see my own value, it was so easy for me to believe that nobody else could see my value either. It was so easy for me to believe that if I don't see a value, that means that a value doesn't exist. And if a value doesn't exist, then guess what? Nobody's going to keep a standard to something that they can't see. Nobody's going to keep a standard to a value that I'm not even, making them keep a standard to, because I don't know what it is. And so it's so important for us to know exactly what it is that the Father is saying. What is the Father saying about me that puts the value on the inside of me? Like, what exactly is He saying about me that lets me know that even if somebody else doesn't honor this value, there is value there to be honored? What is it that the Father says about me that lets me know that I need to know that I have value? What is He saying? And so it always takes me back to my own life. And I always talk about it because, like I said, I'm super transparent. And I know that the Lord healed me from this, because there were people who go through this, who were going to experience this, who was going to need to hear this. As I was growing up, and I say it all the time, my foundational love, which were my parents, were very young when they had me. They were very, very young. And at that age, they didn't know their value. Can we just be real? Like, can we just tell the truth? Because when it comes to things like this, like, we don't really want to we want to tell the truth, but how can we extend grace, and how are we able to, like, see a different perspective for something if we're always in that seat where we're like, but it's their fault? Like, can we just say that they didn't know their own value, and because they didn't know their own value, it was impossible for them to steward something for me that they didn't know? Okay, so they didn't know their own value. And so, because they didn't know it, there were things in my life that I just didn't have. I didn't have that foundational love frame, that foundation or picture framed love that I know that I needed. I knew what I needed, or I felt like I knew what I needed, that just wasn't there. And I was abandoned and I was rejected. And I say it all the time. I was abandoned and I was rejected. And I grew up in a place of just not knowing, right? Super healed from this place. My parents and I are in a great space. So I don't tell this to make them look bad. That's not my MO. It's all about glorifying the Father and what He allowed to be stewarded from this situation. This is basically to encourage you, for you to know it doesn't matter what your situation looks like. It doesn't matter what you've gone through in your life. It doesn't matter how low you feel like you've been. Like, you might feel like you've been, like, low to the bottom, like low to the ground. It doesn't even matter. I want you to know that no matter where you've been, no matter what frame you've been, whatever your situation was, has been, or still is, the Father still has the ability to bring you from that situation. So getting back to my story, growing up without that foundational love, I was rejected by my parents. My father went away when I was 7, and I didn't see him anymore until I was like 21, 22 years old. So I grew up without my father. My mother was very young. And because of things that happened to her, she wasn't able to parent me. She just wasn't able to love me the way that I needed to be loved, the way that I desired to be loved, the way that any child, right? Any child would desire to be loved. Um, my father's family, they denied me for so long that I didn't have that foundation either. And so I'm saying this to say that I literally grew up out here in these streets where I felt like I'm just here, right? Have anybody ever felt like that? Like, I'm just here. I'm just out here in these streets, but like I'm here, right? And so growing up in that type of situation, you don't feel like you have value because your foundational love, your parents are the ones that set the foundation of love in your life. So if you're not feeling that love from the people who set the love, then it'll almost make you feel like you're unlovable, right? Do I have anybody who agrees with that? It'll make you feel unlovable. It'll make you feel like something's wrong with you. It'll make you feel like, okay, if they didn't love me, if my family, if my parents don't love me, and these are the people who are supposed to love me, if they don't love me, then guess what? Nobody's going to love me because those are the people who are supposed to love me. And if they don't love me, it's got to be me. And I say this all the time. I said it in my podcast. I used to feel like God was angry with me, like he just didn't like me. Cause I'm like, God, I don't understand. I don't have my parents. My dad's family doesn't want me. I'm like, I'm just out here in these streets by myself. Like, why would you allow me to be out here by myself? Like, what did I ever do? Like, is it possible that I got switched at birth in the hospital and my real family is out there just looking for me, right? Like this. It sounds silly now, but you got to imagine the mindset of a child who was just confused. I was confused. I was lost. I didn't know. And so most of my life, a lot of my life going into my teenage years, going into my adult years, I spent without value. I didn't value myself because I didn't know that there was a value that existed there. I couldn't believe what it was that my father was saying because I didn't know. I didn't have a relationship with my father to know what it was that he was saying about me, to know that value really existed. So because I didn't have a relationship, I couldn't believe what he said because I didn't know what he said. I'm not reading my word. I'm not stewarding a relationship with him. And so, because of that, I'm walking around here trying to fill these spaces. I'm walking around here trying to fill these voids. I'm walking around here like just trying to fit in wherever I can fit in. Like, do I have anybody who knows exactly what that means? Like, you literally will just be trying to fit into places and you know you don't really fit, but you're just like, you know what? I don't really fit here, but I know that like I can fit. Like, I'm a squeeze in there and I'm gonna make it work, right? Because you want to feel like you belong somewhere, right? And so for a lot of years, I walked around finding myself in spaces, finding myself in relationships that I just didn't have any business in because I didn't understand what this value thing really was about. And I always tell the story of when I got married, when I met my ex-husband. I met him in high school, and so in my mind, I'm like, high school sweetheart, we're super in love. Like, oh my God, this is life changing. I know what love really feels like, da 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 da. But like, do you really know what love really feels like if you don't know, if you've never really experienced love? So anything masked, anything like disguised, anything can appear to be love to you when you don't know what real, true, authentic love like really even feels like, right? So when I went into my marriage with my ex-husband, I love to tell people how I didn't know who I was. So I walked into this marriage without identity, without value, without knowing, understanding, and stewarding the value. And I can tell you that had I known who I was, had I recognized the value, then you would make different choices. I would have made a different choice. And I know that other people out there, when you think about some of the situations you found yourself in, when you think about some of the places that you've gone in, you're looking at it and you're like, how did I get here? How would I have ended up here? I wouldn't ended up here if I would have known my value. I wouldn't have been in that predicament had I known that I was worthy and that I was worth it and that I am enough, right? And so getting to that place of getting into relationship with Christ and really getting into relationship with my father and really starting to understand my value and who I was, it changed the way that I walked. It changed the way that I talked. It changed the way that I started to show up in spaces, even the way that I started to do life. And I'm telling you this because I want you to know that if the Father can do it for me, I promise you he can do it for you. Like he doesn't have any favorites. He loves us all. And you can look at someone's life and be like, oh my God, God did that for them. But I promise you, he's sitting there and he's like, and I want to do it for you. And I want to do it for you. Like it's not I'm doing it over here for them because I don't want to do it for you. Like, no, I want to do it for you too. But you've got to allow me to do it for you. You've got to relinquish that control. You've got to relinquish that space. You've got to be willing to say, okay, Father, you know what? I really don't know my value. I don't really know what it is that you're saying about me. Help me to know exactly what it is that you're saying about me so that I can start to see myself the way that I want to see myself the way that you see me. I want to see the value in me that you see in me. Like, what is it about me that sparks your eye? I want to know what that is because I want to see that, right? And so when you start to like get into that relationship with your father and you have those real conversations, because it takes a real conversation. Like, you gotta be real with the father, right? You can't treat him like one of your best friends that you tell half your business to, but you don't want to tell all your business to. You can't treat it like that. It's gotta be like, no, this is a real, true, authentic relationship, because I can tell you for sure, God knows your thoughts. He knows your heart. Like, he knows what's there, but it's up to you to verbalize. Like, it's not up to him for him to pull it out of you. It's up to you for you to release it unto him. Speak it out of your mouth. I always say, what you don't reveal won't heal. Because if you don't have the courage to speak it out of your mouth, how do you have the courage to walk in the healing of it, to walk in the space of it? It's more than you reading it and being like, okay, the Father said that I am made in his image. The Father said that he had a plan and a purpose for me. Okay, I have value. But you got to walk in that. Like, you got to start to believe that thing enough to like walk in it. Like, no, I have value. I'm no longer afraid to lose situations that don't serve me, that don't benefit me, that don't make me better. I'm no longer like afraid to walk this journey by myself and allow God to send the right people. Like, sometimes, and I've been there, right? So I can say these things because I've been there. Listen, I don't want y'all to think I'm just talking out of the side of my neck, because I promise you, everything I'm saying is where I've been. I've been in those spaces. I've been in those places where I'm like, if I want someone to keep this standard, if I want someone to steward this relationship and keep this standard, I, like, they're gonna be gone. Like, they're not gonna do that. And when you're thinking about being in a space and it's like, do you want to be by yourself and have a standard, or would you rather have somebody here and they keep the standard a little bit, but I can lower the standard? Like, I can lower the bar because I don't have to have it this high for them. I mean, like, they've been there with me. And then we'll even like that guilt thing, right? Like, well, they was there with me when I didn't know the standard, or they was there with me when I didn't have anybody else or have anything else. And so I feel like, I might as well. No, like, listen, you don't have to do that, because I can promise you, like, I can guarantee you that when you set that standard, the standard that the Father has given you. Now, I'm not giving nobody permission to walk around here and be extra arrogant, to be over here over the top. That is not what the girl is saying, okay? But what I am saying is, The value that is on the inside of you has been placed there because of your father who loves you, your father who knew that you were going to be something before you knew that you were going to be something. And he knew that you were going to be everything that he needed you to be, which is why he had to he had to think about this thing, right? I'm thinking about Sharon before Sharon even enters the earth. Like when I think about that, like that thing gives me jitters on the inside because it's like my father literally thought enough of me to think about me even before allowing my mother to be pregnant with me. And when I think about my parents, like my parents were super young when they had me. So my mom is like 15, my dad is 14, like they're babies, right? So when I'm thinking about their age and I'm thinking about like, but my father knew that it was going to happen exactly the way that it was going to happen. And who's to say that he didn't orchestrate things to happen because he's like, it's something gonna be in that girl. I gotta make she has to get here. He thinking about me before he even allows this situation to happen for me to come. And then I love Peter because Peter goes a little bit further and Peter says that everything that I needed, right? Everything that the Father knew that I was going to need in order to fulfill that purpose here on earth, he put inside of me when I was born. So I was born with all of the things that I needed, right? All of the things that I needed, I was born with them. And so when you think about it like that, it's like, well, wait a minute. Because I'm sitting over here and I don't know the value, but you're telling me that I was born with the value and all of the things that I needed in order to fulfill the purpose. But how do I get to that place if I don't even know the purpose? If I didn't even know that there was value there? Where is it at? Like, at what point does it come out? Like, I don't understand. And that's when it's like, no, it's there. It may have to be cultivated. It's got to grow. It's like a seed, right? I love when Dr. Tony Evans talks about it because when he talks about it, he breaks this thing down so amazingly, but it's like a seed. And when you go outside and you plant the seed, you got to water it. It needs sunlight. You got to talk to it. Listen, I be talking to my plant because I do not want my plant to die. And so far, she is hanging on. Okay. But you got to talk to that thing. Like that seed needs to know that it's okay to grow here. It needs to know that it can be nurtured here. You know, like it needs to know that it has permission to do exactly what it is this it's been set out to do here. So if you're out here and you're trying to grow cabbage, it needs to know that it's got permission to occupy this space as a cabbage, right? And so that's what I'm getting so excited. That's what the seed does that's on the inside. The seed on the inside of us, that's exactly what it does. It needs to grow. And so sometimes when we go through these things in our life that we just don't understand, why was she abandoned? Why was she rejected? Why did she not know that she had a place of belonging? Well, God knew that all things were going to work together for the good. He knew that all of these things was going to force that seed to grow, force that seed to mature, give that seed permission to know, oh, you've got permission to occupy this space here. I need that seed to know that you've got permission to live here. And so those things allow the seed to know that you've got permission to do exactly what you've been set out to do. And when you go through those things and you submit to your father, and listen, it's not always easy. And I got to wrap up here because listen, the 20 minutes be going so fast. I just want y'all to know this thing be exciting me, but it goes so fast. No matter what you go through in life, right? It doesn't matter what it is that you go through in life. I need you to know that it's all a part of who God is calling you to be. Like, even when you take the wrong turn, because we've all done that, right? I've taken a lot of turns. The Lord said, Sharon, go right. And I went left because I thought it was a shortcut. And when I got around the corner, I realized, oh no, it's not a shortcut. It's trial and tribulation. Oh my God, it's adversity. Oh my God, it's without a job. Like, it's so many times when we do our own thing and it's like, oh, wait a minute, Father, you said, no. But the way that he works is he's always got a way to put you back on track. Like, right? Like, I just want you to know, like, no matter what it is that you're going through, like, he has a way to put you back in the place, in the position that you're supposed to be going. So even when you detour, because we've all hit those detours in life. And so even if you're at a place, and this is how I'm going to wrap up. Even if you're at a place, right? You're at a place in your life where you're like, God, I've detoured. And I don't even know how to get back on track to the place where I can even steward the value that you're telling me that I have. Like, I know that you're telling me that I have value. I don't even know how to get back to the place to steward this value that I have. Like, Father, I don't even know what to do. And I don't even know how to pray to you and say, I don't know what to do. What you just did, you're letting him know, you're giving him permission to do exactly what it is that he needs to do. Father, I don't know where I'm supposed to be. Get in your word, steward this relationship, submit yourself to him, and relinquish your control. Like, you got to let go. You got to let it go and give him the ability, give him permission to steer, to drive, to lead you and guide you and send you down the path that you're supposed to be. Because it is never, ever too late to fulfill the purpose that he created for you. It's never, ever too late for you to do exactly what it is that the Father has called you to do. It is never ever too late for you to be in the position to walk according to the will, the plan, the purpose, and the destiny that the Father has for your life. It's never too late. Like, as long as you got breath in your body, you still got time. Like, come on. As long as you have, and we used to hear the old people say this all the time, like the old church, not the old people. I'm sorry, not the old people, the old church. Like my grandma church used to say, baby, as long as you have breath in your body, it is never too late for you to do what it is that he's called you to do. And that is what I am telling you today. So if you are here and you're like, Sharon, I want this value that you're talking about. Like, I want to be able to set that standard. I want to be able to like walk in that place that my Father has called me to walk in. Is it okay for me to call him my Father? Because I haven't even talked to him in a while. Yeah. He's your Father. I promise you. He's sitting there and he's just waiting for you because he loves you. And what he placed on the inside of you, he wants it to grow. He wants that seed to grow, to mature, and to live, and to know that it's got permission to occupy that space. But he is waiting for you, literally. And I want you to know that all you have to do is submit yourself and surrender yourself and relinquish your control. Give your life to him if you haven't. I promise you, this is one of the most amazing things that you can ever do. Giving your life to Christ is one of the best decisions that you can ever make in your entire life. I promise you, one of the greatest things that I ever did was give him my life. One of the biggest regrets was not finding this place with him first. Oh my God. If I could have had this when I was younger, when I was battling, when I just lost, I feel like I would have, but then I'm like, but I needed that, right? Like, the adversity, like you need the adversity because it really brings you to a place of where you know that you know that you know that you know that if it had not been for the Lord who was on your side, ah, come on. Listen, I want you to know that the Father is here and the Father is waiting and the Father loves you. And he wants you to know that you are valuable. You have value. You are worthy. You're worthy of the love. You are worthy of that. You are worth it. Okay. And he doesn't want you to allow anyone in your life, anyone in your space to not value you at the place that he has called you to be. Listen, I am your life coach, Sharon Tillman. Knowing who you are is what we are all about. This is what we're advocating here. So if you need anything further, if you need that one-on-one, if you need just to talk about something a little bit deeper, like, you have all my social media handles. I am Sharon Tillman, Facebook. I am Sharon Tillman, YouTube. I am Sharon Tillman, TikTok. my website, iamsharontillman.com. Listen, I want you to get a hold of me and let's do this thing together. Let's do this life together. I want you to know that the Father has something amazing in store for you. Don't you dare miss out because you're unsure. I am here to reassure you that the Father has need of you. He absolutely loves you, and so do I. Thank you guys so much for jumping on with me on our Tuesday night talks. I am Sharon Tillman. Have an amazing night.